I'm really nervous. This is so nerve-wracking. Okay, hello. My name is Casey, or Case. I've wanted to do this for so long, but I've been so nervous that I just haven't, because I've always been afraid that either someone I know or like, I don't know, even people I don't know, I've just been afraid of being judged, being mocked. Like, you know, I'm just a girl who loves to read. I decided, why not? You only live once, I'm 20, why not make a book cheap? And plus, I have just read The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King. I finished The Wicked King today. Don't have it in paperback. I went to the bookshop to buy it. The Queen of Notting was next to The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King was here, so I just assumed The Queen of Notting was the second book. I quickly realised it was actually the third, so I bought the audiobook and I listened to it. All 10 hours of it in a sitting. That's how good it was. When I tell you, it was the best experience of my life. The best experience of my life. I heard so much stuff about The Cruel Prince, like people saying if you want a romance, it's only going to be little crumbs. It's not going to be anything big. Like, don't go into it expecting it to be a romance plot. And I was thoroughly surprised because it in fact was romance. Don't get me wrong, obviously a lot of it is fantasy, but I was surprised because I was told by so many people, you're not going to get romance. Like, don't go in, don't just read it for the romance. It's exactly like why I read every book I read. Read it anyways for the romance, and thank God, because I heard so many bad reviews. One of my favourite like book talkers literally gave this an awful review, so I was like, okay, I'm never gonna read it, I'm never gonna like it. But I read it anyway because I was like, it's right up my alley. Enemies to lovers, fantasy, the whole aesthetic of it, like all like ball gown, magic, like royalty. Take it from me, do not listen to people who tell you something is bad and not to read it. Like, make up your own opinion for yourself, because I was convinced by everything people have told. I even asked people who knew me personally, will I like this book, should I read it? And I was told, no, you'll hate it, don't read it. So I didn't, for years, until this week. And I was lied to. Why was I lied to? Why was I lied to? Because this was the best thing I've ever read. And not even this, The Wicked King. I wish I could hold it up for you. I'm just gonna hold them both. And just imagine I have The Wicked King. I don't have her, but The Wicked King. I was jaw dropped. I'm not gonna give spoilers. Please go read it yourself. But jaw dropped. I was shaking, and I was told. I literally saw a TikTok of a girl being like, when you read the Folk of Air series for Juden Carden, and you don't get any romance till book 3. I don't know what books everyone else is reading, because I got plenty of romance. Because The Wicked King was the definition of enemies to lovers. I've never been so shook in my life. I'm about to start this, like probably gonna finish it. I'm gonna update you on my opinions, because I want like the experience of like reading this with you and having my opinion. I want to document it. I wish I documented with The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King, because I haven't felt this way about books in so long. The last time I felt like this way about a series was Six of Crows, which I read Six of Crows when I was like 16 and I'm 20. Might be a lie, I was like 16 or 17 anyway. It was like during lockdown I read Six of Crows, which actually I lied. The last time I felt this way about a series actually was Caraval. I haven't even finished it. I'm only on the first book of Caraval, but I will finish it. But that like made me feel some sort of way as well. I was in a massive reading slump for a year last year. I think I read one book. I read Rule of Wolves, and that like that took everything out of me. Like, I couldn't read anything after that, because I was like, you know what, like the Grishaverse is over, like I have no more books to read, like what do I do? Like, I was lost, and my mental health was just like rapidly declining, so I didn't read a lot of books, which made me really upset, because like people in my life who know I love reading was like, you haven't read at all, like, are you even a reader anymore? And that just really upset me, because people would be like, oh, like she used to love reading but she doesn't really read anymore, and it just made me really upset. But I'm back. I've read like at least 20 books this year so far. Like I've read the whole Shadow Me series this year as well, and this might be a really unpopular opinion, but I think this series runs circles around Shadow Me. I'm gonna get cancelled for that. I don't know, I just really loved, like, don't get me wrong, I loved Shadow Me. Like Shadow Me was so good as well. I loved Aaron Warner, obviously, and just the whole plot of the books, but I just think the romance in this was 10 times better, because obviously there's lots of like critiques and stuff that you could say about Shadow Me. Not gonna spoil anything. The first 3 books, the romance, I think like Find Me, Restore Me and Imagine Me, the whole like plot of those books, like she kind of had to justify the reason they were together, how the enemies to lovers like didn't really last that long, the whole storyline, because it didn't really make sense how he went from like, how they went from like enemies in the first book to her like not hating him and like him being obsessed with her. You'll get what I mean if you read the books. I'm like trying to be vague so I don't spoil anyone. And I love like, don't get me wrong, like I love Aaron and Juliet, but I just think the plot wasn't that thought out as, and do you know what, who am I to talk about writing, right? I don't have a degree in literature. Maybe I know nothing. You know, people are probably gonna say, well, I read this book and it makes no sense. People told me as well that, oh, it's high fantasy, like if you're going in for romance, like there's not going to be romance. And for some reason the word high fantasy scared me so much, because I was like, what does that even mean? Because I love fantasy, but like whenever I hear high fantasy, I'm like, I'm not smart enough for that. So I like put it off reading it for so long. Then eventually I read it and it wasn't hard to understand in the slightest. As well, people were like, it's more politics than it is romance, and I was like, I don't even understand politics in the real life world, don't mind in a fantasy world. Thank God I decided to read it anyway, because I was like, do you know what, I don't even care if there's not that much romance, like at least I'll get romance. I love, like, all my favourite books, as I said, Six of Crows. Like, thinking about that, there's not that much romance in that. Like I'm so used to books where there's like one kiss and like 4, like in like a 4 to 6 book series, that'll be like that slow burn, they don't get together into like the last chapter of the last book. I'm just not used to this much romance being in fantasy, because I don't know what everyone's on about. I don't know what people were talking about, like there's no romance in the series, like people are lying to you. I don't feel lied to you one bit. I got exactly what I signed up for, and I'm glad I signed up for it.